the 1995 world champion of public speaking, Mark Brown. You've got the virtual stage.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Tinka, two-time semifinalist in the World Championship. And I noticed several individuals here have their cameras off. And I will invite you from time to time to turn the camera on because I'm not going to lecture today. Let's have a conversation. Are we okay with that? I see a few head nods. Yeah, trust me, I don't bite on Wednesdays before 9:17 p.m. So you're going to hear in safe hands right now. And I'm curious to know, since Contest Mastery is the focus of this group, by show of hands, an emoji, or some kind of indication, please let me know if you have not yet competed in a Toastmasters International Speech Contest. Has anyone here not competed yet? Okay, so everyone knows what it's like to compete. Everyone fully understands every nuance and every rule of the speech contest, correct? Okay, I see a few honest hands for thumbs down. Earl, put both thumbs down. Perhaps it's because trying to understand the rules can be quite confusing. There's so many, the rule book changes every single year, but we look for what's constant. And it's, I count myself privileged to be able to share with you today because I won this contest 30 years ago, and I have the VHS videotape to prove it, okay? And it occurs to me there may be individuals in the room today who may not have been around 30 years ago, certainly not in Toastmasters, because you may have some members who are under 30 years old. I will not ask you to identify yourself. Just know I appreciate that, and I'm thankful that 30 years on, people still want to hear from little old me. I was also made very aware that for some context, there are individuals here who don't know my journey. Now, Harriet did tell you the contest situation now requires 7 rounds of competition. When I first entered in 1994, it was a 6-round competition, and there was one other significant difference in the contest run. Now, I entered the contest when I worked at Reader's Digest, and I won in District 46, New York, as a member of the Reader's Digest Toastmasters Club. Why tell you that? 2 reasons: to give honor to my club, and 2, to let you know I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of my story, or we'll be here all night. Very briefly, I did my first club contest in the winter of 1994 completely by accident. I was scheduled to be the target speaker for the evaluation contest that day, and an hour and a half before the contest, I got a phone call from my mentor, my club mentor, who said, "Mark, Dennis can't compete. I know you are prepared to give a speech for evaluation." I had 4 bullets on a 3x5 card. I was brand new, 6 speeches in, didn't know what I was doing. And being Jamaican, I said, "No problem, man." I had no clue what I was doing. I had 4 bullet points on a 3x5 card. But I went to my club contest and I won the contest, Wonder of Wonders. And I said, "That was great. That was fun. That's cool." And I was told, "Mark, you're not done." I said, "What? You must now go to the next level." I said, "What level is that?" "Area." "What's area?" "It's bigger than the club. You got to go to that contest." "When?" "Tonight." Never schedule your club contest the same day as the area contest. Never schedule your area contest the same day as the division contest. You get the idea. Nonetheless, I went to my division contest and I finished second. I said, "Great, it was fun, I'm done." I was told, "No, you're not done yet." I said, "Why?" "Because there's a rule in Toastmasters that says, in an area with 4 or fewer clubs, the district has the option to allow 2 to advance. It also applies to divisions." I had no clue about that. I'm wondering, is that news to anybody in the room by show of hands? Who did not know that? And you did not know that because you have not read the rule book carefully. I would not blame you. I had no clue either. I was literally 6 speeches in, and I had no clue what I was doing. I also did not know that the contest I was in that day had any connection to the Toastmasters World Championship. I'd seen the magazine cover in 93 of Otis Williams Jr. and Dana Lamont, those are the last 2 world champions. I thought I could never do that. And my brain did not connect those 2 world champions in the magazine to what I was doing that day. Nonetheless, I was told, "You must continue to division." I said, "Will this ever end?" "No, keep going." I went to division. I won division. I thought, I'm done, right? No, you have district. Where is that? In New Jersey. When? On a Sunday. I'm not going to go on a Sunday. I got to go to church. I need God bad. And they told me, Mark, you are our division champion. Please go represent us. I therefore went to the division contest. There were, now I had, I mean, to district contest. I have been used to 12 people in a club contest, maybe 20 in an area contest. On a long shot, 35, 40 at division. I get to New Jersey, I know 3 people out of 250, but I had my speech kind of in my head. I'd never written a script to save my life. I got there and the audience began to laugh at my silly, ridiculous humor. I was enjoying my moment. And one of the 3 people I knew, I'll call him Mike, was in the back of the room, literally against the wall. And I was getting the audience having fun. And I noticed in the corner of my eye, Mike is doing this. And I surmised he was telling me to wind down my speech, which I then did, left the stage, went to the back, and he said, as only a New Yorker can, hey, Mark, I think we went over time, Mark. It was too long. It was too long. It's a bad Jamaican version of a New York accent, but forgive me, it happens. Nonetheless, they announced that I had won the contest. To my surprise, I thought I'd lost. I mean, I didn't really care. I did not enter with any intent as a late sub. Nonetheless, I got the trophy. I was surprised. And someone broke the protocol and revealed the timer's report. I had spoken for 7 minutes and 29 seconds. Does anyone not know that's significant? You all know. One more deep breath, I would have DQ'd. Right? It's interesting. But I was told now you have to go and compete at the region level. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was called the region. Our region consisted of an area northeast all the way up to St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. And St. John, New Brunswick, Canada was the venue of our Region 7 conventions, 94. I went and was told, oh, by the way, Mark, you now need a brand new speech for region. See, back in those days, it was 3 speeches. 1 club through district, a second one just for the region, and a third for the World Championship. I guess the thinking back then was everyone has at least 1 good speech in them. But to be that good, you must prove yourself not once, not twice, but 3 times. Got a new speech together, went to St. John, New Brunswick, and lo and behold, I was named the world champion. I was so thrilled, I went back to the airport, riding in the back of a really tiny car next to a man named Daniel Rex, who was then the Toastmasters Director of Marketing. He's now our CEO. We met 31 years ago. I got back home and I was told by my club president, Mark, this is big. This is big. This is big, 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 big. I had no clue. I just thought 1 more contest, I'll go for it. Put a speech together. And for the first time, I actually got help. Went to Louisville, Kentucky, 94, one of 9 finalists. I was speaker number 1. I was quite unforgettable, did not win the trophy. But I told myself I did my best. Hard to convince a little 7-year-old boy who was crying because his dad didn't win. So I sat there in the ballroom trying to comfort my son, Joel. And a man walked over, introduced himself. Hey, Mark, I'm David Brooks. Please forgive me. I don't mean to interrupt a tender family moment, but I believe you're a very good speaker. And if you want any help, here's my card. Please feel free to call me. David Brooks, the world champion, thought I was talented. How cool was that? That was Saturday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, I got back to New York, dropped my bags, got on the phone, and I called David Brooks. Hello, David. Yes. This is me, Mark Brown. Do you know who I am? Mark, I met you yesterday. I know who you are. I said, well, Dave, you promised to help. Will you? And he said, yes. Forgive me. I just lost power to my laptop. That's not a good thing. He said yes. Long story short, he became my mentor. 95, I went back to the contest at my club and I placed 2nd at my club. Please let that sink in for a second. In 1995, I was 2nd at the club level. Thank goodness for rules that say in an area with 4 or fewer clubs, they can let 1 and 2 advance. I took my second chance, won the area won the division, won the district, and was ready to go to Region 7 conference in Maryland. And I was blessed enough in Maryland to deliver a speech that some people still remember, but I lost my path. I lost my way about 3 minutes in. And I can recall thinking to myself, say something, you fool. And I said something, found my place, continued through, spoke for 7 minutes and 24 seconds, was declared the winner. And the president of Toastmasters, Pauline Shirley, met me in the hallway and gave me 3 words of advice. Double your energy. Now, why might that be important? Give me some time, I'll get back to you on it. Double your energy. I said, cool, thank you. Had to prepare my 3rd and final speech. Now, in 94, when I lost, I told myself, if I ever win this contest again, get to the final, I know exactly what I will talk about. The significance and power of all of us having integrity. I spent 6 weeks on a speech that was total garbage. And I was going back and forth with my mentor, David Brooks, old school. He was in Texas. I was in New York. He mentored me by phone and fax, literally phone and fax for months. And at one point, by the way, he sent me a package at the end of the month, at the end of the year. He sent me a package. And in this package are copies of our correspondence that we had over several months between district, region, and finals. I would write all these long notes and say, what do I do wrong and what can I help? But literally, he mentored me by phone and fax, hence these 30-year-old hard copies in my desk drawer. But here's a cool thing. I realized the speech I'd worked on was not good enough to win the world championships. And I remember very clearly telling him in a letter, I wrote a letter, typed it up, on Word Perfect, by the way. And I said, David, this is not good enough. You, my audience, my family, and my God deserve my best. And this is not it. And here's where a qualified coach comes in. He advised me to think about my content. If that's not good enough, perhaps you might need to change it. Have you revisited any old talks you gave previously in your Toastmasters journey? And I said, that's an idea. Now, what I did probably won't work this time. I went back to 94 to my Region 7 speech, reworked it, redid it, and the contest was August 18. I tested it on August 1st. August 2nd, I made the decision to drop my old speech completely and begin to really work on a new one with 2 weeks to go. This approach I do not recommend at all. I recommend you start early. When your heart says, I want to talk about this, begin to craft your presentation early and get as much help as you can early on. Don't wait till it's too late. Thankfully, I had David Brooks and my family. So much so, the only individuals who heard my contest speech before contest day were David Brooks, my coach, 2 friends from New York City, the late Robert and Randy Gedalia, who were also avid Toastmasters, but they had skill in stage presence. I drove to Manhattan and spent 3 hours with them one day, Tuesday before the contest, to show them my speech and to work on staging and presence. So David Brooks, Rob and Randy Gedalia, and my family of 5, of my wife and my 3 kids, were the only ones who heard that speech before I gave it on that stage. I realized I've blown the idea of rehearsals at your club, rehearsals with your friends, rehearsals with your division. I blew the idea. But again, I don't recommend that. My journey is unique, and I would not ask anyone to do last-minute speech prep. That was my journey. And I went, I won the trophy, and had a couple of revelations. I found out David Brooks, the 1990 world champion, had offered to help the other finalists who did not win. I was the only one who said yes to perhaps the most qualified coach on the planet. Ponder that for a second. Someone who is where you want to be offers to help you, and you say no? After 30 years, I'm still processing that. Because here's the truth. Of all the finalists in 94, I was the only one to return to the world stage in 95. and the only one to win a trophy. So let me just ask you, so think about this for a second. I call David Brooks the master mentor. He up until, I guess, the last 5 years, he had mentored more world champions than anyone else on the planet. He offered to help me. He offered to help many of us. And others said no or simply ignored his offer. Does that really make sense? And you may have in your midst individuals who are qualified in some way to help you, who are willing to help you. And the question becomes, will you say yes? Do not answer me. Please ponder the question. It also taught me the true power of a qualified coach to help you. Now, I'm going to be really honest because I'm old enough to do this. I've been around long enough and I really don't care. The truth is this. Very often, when you are competing, you go to your club and your club has a variety of individuals with different levels of expertise, and we ask for their feedback. I did the same thing. And everyone has an opinion. And very often, you'll find the suggestions you get will differ. Using an emoji or a show of hands, please let me know. Have you ever asked your club or a group of people for advice, and you get someone who says, turn left, someone says, turn right, someone says, go forward, someone says, go back, someone says, no, stay still. Am I the only one? Show of hands. Who's been there? Okay. Please let me tell you from my heart what I've learned in 30 plus years of being a Toastmaster. Most of the time, when individuals tell you what you should do, they're telling you what they would do if they were you. I would do it this way if I were you. They don't use those words, but they tell you you should do this, you should do that. A qualified coach identifies you as the individual. They look at your personality, your style, and they'll challenge you with questions. They'll challenge you to examine who you are. They'll ask you to be your authentic self, and they'll say to you, I recommend you do this based upon what I know about you, but the choice is yours. If you ask Harriet Tinker, she often hears the words, you are the CEO of your speech. You are the president of your presentation. I'm the hired help. I'm the consultant, but you make the call. And a good, honest speaker will probably take the advice that the coach gives, but sometimes they'll say, no, for me, this works better. I can recall, had I thought of it, I'd have found the actual letter I sent to David Brooks. I was rehearsing with a group of people on one of my talks, and they said, that sentence sounds to this, that sentence sounds to that. You should take it out. They're saying, if I were you, I would take it out. And David told me how proud he was of me when in my note I said, David, I feel very strongly about the impact of the sentence. Therefore, the sentence remains, exclamation point. He commended me for making that decision. I caution everyone I talk to about being a contestant. You may really admire your coach deeply and dearly, but the last thing you want to do is sound like your coach. I had someone come to me and say, Mark, I want to be just like you. I said, no, you don't. You want to be just like you. Because all too often, when a good coach works with an individual, the individual begins to take on the characteristics of the coach, and that's not genuine. That's not authentic. Show of hands, emoji, anything you want, or open mic and say, yes, I would love to hear your voices. Can you recall hearing a speaker and you say to yourself, they sound just like blank? Anyone?
Yes.
A couple.
Yes.
You need to be your individual self. If you start to sound like me, I don't like that. I'm not comfortable with that. We need to see you in all of your essence, all of your experience, all you've been through, your ups and downs, your joys, your sorrows. We need to see you, who you are. And I tell people my journey began in 95 when I won the World Championship. And I learned early on the value of serving others who want to be served. Guess what? Not every contestant is coachable. Did I just say that? Yeah. Again, after 30 years, I'll tell you, not every contestant is coachable. Right? And one of the reasons is because of the focus that they have. So maybe you wanted a whole bunch of tips and bullet points. I was talking today, right? So many people, they put their eyes on the prize. and they have trophy lust. The precious, I want the precious. Because they believe the trophy is the key to unlock their future as the world's best motivational speaker. Wrong. The contest is a great tool for becoming a better presenter. There are individuals who have not won trophies who have gone on to have stellar careers internationally because they were good presenters. Here's harsh truth. On any given day, judges will choose who they will choose. Can anybody here tell me with confident affirmation that you have seen a contest, witnessed a contest, and the result completely blew your mind? I never saw that coming. Am I the only one? I've been going to contests since 1994. In 32 years, I've only missed 3 international conventions. I've been a guest speaker at districts on 5 continents. I do not say this to brag. I say this to give you context. I've been to hundreds of contests, and sometimes the results blow my mind. I wonder, how could they have made that decision? Therefore, as a contestant, 1, if your focus is on the trophy and you get disappointed, it can really ruin you. I've seen speakers get angry and upset. I'm going to quit Toastmasters because it's unfair. I submit to you, your mindset is off. The contest is a great way to learn and grow and develop more quickly as a presenter. The contest is a great opportunity to search your heart and find out the message inside you that the world needs to hear. The trophy is a byproduct. There are individuals who have won the Toastmasters trophy whom we don't know about. Vikash Jinkran won the trophy from New England. I hardly see him anywhere. David Henderson won from Texas. Good friend of mine. He's hardly around. Randy Harvey, maybe once in a while. There are others who have not won, who have gone on to have stellar careers. You don't know who Olivia Schofield is. She went overtime in 2011 with a speech about a teddy bear. She's now a hot number in Europe, traveling all over Europe as a coach, trainer, and presenter. She didn't need a trophy to win. What the contest does, it brings out in you the potential you have to serve an audience globally beyond the contest. And here's some advice from me at the 30 plus years. Write a contest speech, not only to win the contest, write a speech you can't wait to give. That was the advice I got from Morgan MacArthur, the 1994 world champion, after he whipped me soundly in 94. He said, Mark, write a speech you can't wait to give. And I know we can focus on the technicalities of the rule book and the judge's ballot, and I'm sure everyone here has seen a judge's ballot, yes? Has anyone here not seen a judge's ballot? Okay. You have not. Okay, Archel, go online and just do a search for Toastmasters Speech Contest Judges Guide Ballot PDF and pop that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show it to you real quickly. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen and show the ballot to you. Share screen, ballot. Here we go, share. Come on, lose all, here, minimize this. Minimize this. These pop-ups are annoying me. Timer, okay, forget timer's hand there. Okay, there. All right, that's better. The bottom strip is my taskbar in Zoom. It often just sits there. It's very, very annoying, but please forgive me, okay? All right. The judges mark content, delivery, and language. They give a total score of 100 possible points. I'll put this up here. Yeah. There you go. 100 possible points. Notice on the left, you've got speech development, effectiveness, speech value. That's your content. 50% of your score is based on the content. Why do I say that? In the last 30 years, I've seen people use props like tables and chairs and a full length ladder. And do you have something valuable to share with the audience? It looks like how you develop your speech, its effectiveness, your clear purpose, your values, the ideas, the logic, the original thought. Now I'm going to pause there and offer a challenge to everyone who wants to enter a contest. Here's my challenge for you. Write a speech that'll have a long shelf life. Write a speech that'll have a long shelf life. I had no idea the speech I gave August 18, 1995 would be relevant and valid today. The video is on YouTube. If you've not seen it, feel free to go and look. You don't have to, but people are commenting on it and have been for the last several years. Matter of fact, I believe I have a unique situation here. I took my 6-minute 48 speech, talked about Beauty and the Beast and intolerance, indifference, and ignorance, how we treat people, and I reworked it to serve middle school audiences across North America. Between 1995 and today, 30 years, I have delivered that revised, updated, continually updated presentation to over 1 million young people across North America and the Middle East. This isn't a brag. This is to let you know the message is still valid 30 years later. Schools are calling me to come in and deliver that talk to them. One school wrote me 2 years ago and said, you came to our school 15 years ago and you changed the trajectory of our students. Please come back. We need you again. 15 years. Again, please hear my heart, not a brag, but the value of the message was so powerful, people still want to hear it. Just think of your life, your experience of what you have so far. What do you have that could really change people's hearts and minds and lives? Go beyond winning a trophy. Each of you has value from your life and experience. You want a good speech? Write a lasting speech and make sure your content is solid. 50% goes to content. The physical appearance, your body language, how you handle the speaking area, your voice, your manner, your directness. Please be genuinely conversational. Too many speakers get theatrical and it's flagged right away. You're overdoing it. You're trying too hard. We want to tell people you can be like you can be, and we get dramatic. No. Look at the last several winning speeches. The contestants who won were conversational. Look at Luisa Montalvo. She was second in 2019, by the way. She didn't win her first shot. She won 5 years after coming second the first time. Right? I mean, Jocelyn Tyson, she talked about struggling with a triathlon. This one, yes, this one, no. You choose. Have you been there? Personal struggle. You find winners tell personal stories. I've seen so many contestants go off about Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, and why? Your audience wants to hear you, but they want to know you. What can you share from your life and experience to lift me up? Because you know what? Ideally, think about this. Your audience is you. The people in your audience want to find common ground with your experience, your emotion. They want to hear you talk to them in conversational tones. They don't want drama and acting. They want to hear what you have for them. So physically, how you appear. Now, appearance, I'm old school. Or maybe I'm just old. I prefer, if I'm going to give up in a contest, I dress for it. I'll wear a suit. Nowadays, I see very different outfits. I've seen ethnic garb, which is very, very effective. And I appreciate that. I'm not saying you must always wear a coat and tie. But if your garment supports your message, go for that too. But let's be careful and let's be modest. Let's be professional in our appearance. I leave that there. Your body language speaks so loudly. It's not just your words. Rehearse your presentation. It should look like rehearsed. I call it rehearsed spontaneity. My mentor taught me that. It should look so natural, even though you rehearse it. How do you rehearse? Now we have technology. You can rehearse by recording video and watching yourself. You don't need to get an audience to rehearse every single time. And when you rehearse on video, I have an idea for you. 3 ways to watch your video. 1, watch it normal speed, volume on. 2, watch it volume off. Look at your movement. See what you're doing. Thank you. See what you're doing. Look at your body language. Look at your expression. Is your facial expression congruent with what you are saying on stage? Are you pausing enough? Are you going too fast? Are you going too slow? Can you see all of that in your physical? So ready to watch it. Play it back. Put the sound back on. and turn your back to it and listen. Does your voice sound appropriate? Is the emotion there? Am I too loud? Am I too soft? Is my voice trailing off at the end of my sentences? Am I monotone here or monotone here? Can you hear the emotion in your voice? Am I pausing long enough when I ask questions for the audience to process it and respond to it? So when you watch it those three ways, you then not only see, but you also hear the kind of presenter you have become. So be aware, certainly, of the speaking area, your posture, your body language, and how you handle that. And your voice also, your voice, your physical body, and your manner, all that is 30% of your score. I must share one more point with you. I realize that there are times, hang on, go away from me, please. Okay. There are times people get very concerned about language. And please be aware, I understand for some contestants, English is their second or third language. That is not uncommon for that to be the case. But here in the language area, it says appropriateness to speech and audience, correctness, grammar, pronunciation, and word selection. For some people, that's a bit of a bugaboo. I recommend keep it simple and clear. There are times a few choice words are effective, but for the most part, keep it simple. Use language that everybody can understand, because sometimes we do have individuals for whom English is their second or third language. This is a guide for all of us for what the judges look for. But in your content, I inspire you, use a personal story. Search your heart. Is there a burning message inside that has universal appeal? That has universal appeal. Does your speech contain these components? Does your speech allow you time to challenge the audience and give them what I call a call to action? And here are three things to consider in your presentation. One, is my presentation full of narration with no dialogue between characters? That's the case, you aren't giving the audience an experience of what you've been through. Do they have vivid characters to whom the audience can relate? Are the circumstances surrounding the characters in the speech can the audience connect themselves and see themselves in the circumstances or the characters? Can the audience relate? And when I said universal, can an audience in Asia, in Africa, in Australia, in South America, and North America all relate? I realize in my speech about how we treat each other, intolerance, indifference, and ignorance, that's a human topic. When Louisa mentions all these trainers who come to help her, that's a human topic. When Dustin says choosing, this one yes, this one no, you choose, that's a human topic. It crosses ethnic, racial, religious lines. I do offer a couple of words of caution. One, please be aware of what I call localisms. Language that we know in our area that we use glibly. I have clients in Asia and Africa, and I have had one client a couple of days ago, and they talked about, when I was in Standard 7, I was a bully in my class. Show of hands. Do you understand the term Standard 7 in school? Show of hands. 2 out of 35 people know what Standard 7 is. My point being, we have to be aware that what we use in our normal language may not be so clear to the audience members who are there. Let me lower my hand here quickly. Good, thank you. So avoid localisms or jargon. I had one gentleman giving a talk and he says, I'd gone to the restaurant and I went AFib. I said, stop. In the audience, does anyone here not know what went AFib means? He began to lower his head because he knew right away. At least half the audience didn't understand what went AFib meant. Remember, we are dealing with an international audience. Make sure our content is applicable to an international audience. And there are 2 more key ideas here. And I'll start with a question. Anyone here, open your mic and give me an answer. What is the one guaranteed way to lose a speech contest at any level? Anybody, jump in real quick and say it loud. I want to hear you. Somebody.
One time.
What was that?
Go past time.
Go past time. Go overtime. Yes. Ding, 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 ding. You get a smile from me. The one surefire way to lose a contest is to go overtime. Last year, in California, 2 finalists went overtime. How much time do we invest preparing for the World Championship from scratch, from club? Months. We invest months. We know the rules. We know what goes on. We've had rehearsals. And we know at 7:31 we're disqualified. Here is the rule of thumb my mentor taught me 30 years ago. Write a 6-minute speech and deliver it in 7. Write a 6-minute speech and deliver it in 7. Well, how do you do that, Mark? Well, first of all, determine your own personal WPM, words per minute speaking rate. Okay, that sounds like typing or whatever. Simple. You get your speech, get a timing device, your mobile device maybe, and you read for 1 minute. And you stop, mark it, and count the words you just read. Do that 3 times. You're quite likely to end up knowing what your words per minute rate is. In my coaching experience of 30 years, on average, a contest speech is between 700 and 800 words. Some are fewer because some individuals have a faster speaking rate. I knew one individual who delivered a 1,000 word speech in less than 7.5 minutes. And he was second to me in the contest in 95, Philip Compani of the UK. That was his speaking rate. But on average, you do between 700 and 800 words, you're going to be there. Why do I say choose lower? Because you never know when your humor will land and the audience laughs longer than you think. You never know when the audience response is unexpected. It happened to me. If you watch my video, I use the word why. The audience starts laughing and you watch my face, I'm like this. Because it wasn't anticipated. So one quick tip for your contest speech. 1, write a script. I don't normally script my talk, but for the contest, I wanted every word to count. And to save you time writing your script, here's my idea. You can use Microsoft Word, go into Word, and click on the dictate button and just talk. Deliver your story, just talk. It'll create a transcript for you, what I call your sloppy first copy. You can begin to edit from there. On my script, I wrote down green where I thought I'd see the green light. I wrote down yellow where I thought I'd see the yellow light. I put down red in my last 3 words. I didn't get there. I was 6:48 and I was comfortable. But I padded in time. If it's a funny line, I pad in time. I'm saying 2 seconds for a chuckle here, maybe 3 for a little laugh. But that way you're budgeting time for what may happen in your presentation. But people say, oh, Mark, I'm doing great. I'm about 719. I'm good. 719? You get 2 laughs, that 719 is gone. And for me, and I know both individuals who went overtime last year. I know them both personally. I've seen other individuals go overtime. In the last 10 years, maybe 4 or 5 people have gone overtime. There's no excuse for that. Prepare yourself to deliver your message. But most importantly, you gotta have fun doing it. So if you can write your speech in 700 words, you're gonna be in good shape. I recommend you get a mentor. When? Don't wait till you get to the finals. Get someone who you can work with, who you trust, who you can align with early on. I've had people say, Mark, I'm going to consult with you, but I'm going to wait till I win my district. Then, I got second at district. I'm not saying hire me. I'm saying get someone who will help you to accomplish this. Has this been helpful so far for anyone? Are there at least 2 thumbs up? Okay, great. My last thought for you regarding the performance level. I got this advice from somebody, and I forget who it was, but it wasn't my thought. I think it was Otis Williams Jr., 93 world champion. He says, be so good. The only question is who comes second. And there's one PS, and I'm at 5 minutes past time, but I got to tell you this. There's one PS that causes individuals to hurt themselves. It is this. being concerned about speaking order and position. Some people say, I don't want to be first, or I don't want to be last. They'll be tired. They don't want to hear from me. No. Just be your best in every situation. In 94, I was speaker number one. I was when I was I didn't even draw. I was the last speaker in the room at the World Championship, and I had got the one card that was left. The guy beside me, there were two numbers left, 1 and 9. He drew number 9, so I became number 1 by default. I wasn't even drawing, and I thought, oh my gosh, I got to go first. But then a different thought came to mind. Just set the bar so high you make the other contestants nervous. Be so good, so don't focus on them. And I know people who were concerned. I was in one contest. One of the contestants went to the briefing late. They had changed the briefing room, and someone put a sign on the door. Briefing room has changed to Sapphire 15. And then they closed the door. The note was on the inside. The individual came and could not find the room for the briefing, never got there. The contest master said, I will draw for them. They drew number 5. Briefing was over. We're all leaving. Before we left, one person said, hey, I don't think it's fair. I'm number 1. Somebody who's not even here has a better speaking position than I do. Contest master said, they're number 5, you're number 1. We'll see you at the meeting, at the contest. As everyone left, I could see their face. They were upset. I said, hey, listen, I've been in contests before, and I have been number 1 before. You have one job. I want to win like you, but I'll tell you this from experience. You have to set one mindset. Be so good that we can't follow you. He looked at me, gave me the stank eye, turned on their heel, and walked out, left me alone in the meeting room. I thought to myself, 1 down, 7 to go. Because in his mind, I can't possibly win. True story. I can't possibly win from spot number 1. No. If you bear in mind, I have invested time to write a speech from my soul I want to give to the audience. That mindset says, I'm going to give my gift. No matter where you place me, I'm going to give my gift. I'm going to work to make sure I don't go over time. I'm going to work with the coach to help me. I'm going to make continuous changes because I want to make sure my message will live on, win, lose, or draw. With that mindset, you're on your way to crafting an unforgettable contest speech. Toastmaster Harriet, the floor is yours.
So if you have a question for Mark, by all means, raise your hand, your virtual hand if you can. They're the easiest to get, although I always check Mary, and Mary has her hand up. So Mary, you get to be first. Go ahead.
I've been dying to ask Mark this question because you mentioned the word conversation many times. And yet in all our training, we don't get good training on conversation. How did you come about the importance of having conversation in your speeches?
That's over 30 years, I will tell you. But I've also would invite everyone to invest some time and look at the last, 10 years of world champion speakers. And you'll notice that their style is very conversational. It was more declarative in the years gone by, and we would want to inspire the audience with very strong words and ideas and concepts. But recently, winning speeches have been about simple stories told in conversational style. Erin Beverly went to a wedding in India, very conversational. Ramona Smith, she had a failed marriage, and her studies, conversational style. So the speechifying is not the order of the day. Conversational style seems to work more now, and the results bear that out.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Mark. I see a hand from Earl.
Yeah, Mark, I heard you a few years ago say that international speech should have the 4 H's. Maybe you remember that. Head, heart, hard hitting, and humor. And you said the only one of those that's optional is humor. Would you stand by that statement today?
Well, head, heart, humor, heavy hitting is actually an Ed Tate-ism, the 2000 world champion. But the idea of humor being optional, now my speech 30 years ago didn't have a whole lot of humor. But humor really adds an environment and adds an atmosphere to a presentation where the audience can be entertained. Can you entertain without humor? Yes, you can. But again, the trend over the last several years has been to include humor. And I will say this, I'm not saying to add humor. I'm saying to uncover humor, which comes from circumstances, situations that individuals go through. Again, if you watch several recent winners, their humor was not a joke from a joke book or a bad dad joke that I'm known for, but it comes from the circumstance, situation, and the experiences that they have. And we all can find humor in our stories and our experiences. So I believe humor is an asset when used well and wisely. Don't do a full comedy routine, but give the audience something to be entertained by and to laugh about, particularly as comic relief after a heavy situation. Humor is helpful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Who's next? Guests, you're certainly welcome too. We'd love to have a guest contribute a question here. Raise your virtual hand.
Here's Peter.
I see Peter. Peter's not a guest, but you get to go anyway.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Mark. Appreciate everything this evening. I have a question. Going back into your speech for a second. So in your speech, you actually highlighted a news story that was very local. I actually remember that news story from way back when, and we talked about it in our school in New Jersey. But I remember it because it was a very local story. What was the process to take that very local story and turn it into, turn the spotlight on it in a universal way so that folks weren't saying, oh, that's just New York, or, oh, that's just.
Well, the idea was she was focusing on the plight of the homeless. The plight of the homeless, in her case, was in New York City, but the plight of the homeless is universal and international. And that was where I focused on, not where she was, but what she encountered when she was in that situation. So I realized, yes, it was a New York story, but how many of us see homeless wherever we go, in different countries, in different parts of the world? It is a fact. Homelessness, food insecurity, these are all universal problems. So I felt it would be okay to share that particular story because everybody would understand. And the concept of intolerance, indifference, and ignorance, giving a second chance, was also universal. So I felt safe using that reference.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I have lost Barack, so I'm not sure where we are in time, but let's get one or two more if we have some more questions.
There's Jane.
Jane, go ahead, please.
Hello. Thank you for your speech. It was wonderful. I just wanted to ask a question about pauses. I'm working on that because I'll be competing in the district. I'm wondering, what tips do you have to make the pauses impactful and purposeful whenever you give a speech?
Excellent. If you ask a question, give the audience time to answer it in their minds. How do you do that? Answer yourself in your mind. It can be uncomfortable, a pause. There is power in an uncomfortable pause. Aaron LaCroix in 01 fell on his face. And people were telling him, Darren, you stayed down too long. It made me uncomfortable. Get up sooner. I told Darren, stay down 1 second longer. I said, what? Yeah. It'll make people uncomfortable. I said, yes, because when they are uncomfortable, they'll change. He even asked the question, do you feel I stayed down too long? They laughed. Have you ever stayed down too long? It got quiet. So the pause for reflection, pause to answer a question, and pause to make a thought sink in and maybe even deliberately make your audience uncomfortable is valid. If you blow through your main thought too quickly, it will not resonate and stay in their minds long enough. And it also depends on your intent. Why pause? For effect, for reflection, to make the audience uncomfortable, to make them really think, or to process a thought you've placed in their hearts and minds. I find pauses are very powerful. Hope it helps you, Jane.
Oh, yes, definitely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. As GE, I'm going to pull a rank and maybe get the last question in here. A number of people have suggested to me and to others that the first 15 to 30 seconds of a speech is the most important. I'd be curious if that's your view as well, and perhaps how you approach the opening of a speech.
I believe the opening is critical. Now, sometimes the opening is not that strong, but the individual will come back in and land a really good presentation. I'm going to be honest. I felt that way about last year's second place winner, the attorney from Asia. Didn't start that strong, but she built her speech powerfully towards the end and won a second place trophy. I think the opening is the key. Now, what's the purpose of an opening? People will say the opening is to get their attention. Well, I will say one step further. Your opening should get their attention and make a connection to what you're talking about. In my speech, title was A Second Chance. My opening, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. It's a fairly common phrase, but my title was in the opening. I had a quote in the opening. I got their attention in the opening and connected my opening to my topic and my subject. If you can do that, chances are your audience will lean in right away and want to hear what you have to say. That takes some work, some crafting, and some skill. But if you can get their attention and make a connection in your opening, you're on your way to having them in your corner very, very early on. And I hope that is helpful for everyone.
That's great, Mark. Thank you. We are at red. Mark, any last pieces of wisdom you'd love to share with us?
I have to reiterate, please don't pursue the trophy. Pursue growth, pursue excellence, and pursue the opportunity to leave a message that's worth repeating with the audiences in your contests, in your club, and outside Toastmasters. Write a speech you can't wait to give from your heart, and hopefully it'll have a long shelf life. And maybe, just maybe along the way, you might pick up a Lucite trophy as well.